Part 111. Heaven Swallowing Record. Author, Fengqing Yang. Chapter 1111. I remember that before, Linghan, the demon from the Dead Sea, Xianxin Xianchen from the Tianqian Starry Sky Empire, Yuan Zijun from the Zhuiyun Kingdom, and several people from Bailey Ize also set traps, and Wu Yu and others fell into the trap when they were not paying attention. He really didn't pay attention at that time, but this time, Wu Yu could only say that this was a magic array arranged by the Tianling Deikai, and this world itself was extremely dark. Even if he was very careful, it would be difficult to avoid this trap. He fell into the trap again, and he could only laugh and cry. Moreover, he didn't expect that the people who set up this trap also included Nanyanyas who supported Nangang Wei. I guess the space created by the black pillar is invisible from the outside, so they are not in a hurry at all. They can trap us here and play with us slowly. And if nothing unexpected happens, the communication talismans and the like can't get out at all. So you can't ask other Yanhuang people for help. You may still be able to find the Shadow King, but even if they come, they are not as strong as the group of people outside, and it will be useless. So this time, we may have to rely on ourselves. Nanshan Wanjiu glanced at everyone and laughed. Under such siege and restriction, he can still laugh, which is also a skill. After all, Le Daizi and the others looked a little ugly. Maybe he recognized how many strong people there were in this group of people. Indeed, Wu Yu also felt that under this magic circle, it was really a completely closed space, even like being in the fusion tower, and it was unlikely that the communication talismans and the like could be sent out. Another key point is that if people outside can't see here and can't feel the movement here, then the person who set the trap really has enough time to slowly deal with Wu Yu, or even directly lock Wu Yu in here. Can you break the magic circle of this Tianling Dao weapon and get out quickly? You also have two Tianling Dao weapons, Le Daizi asked hurriedly. Not sure, I have to try to know, but they won't watch me destroy the magic circle. Wu Yu knew it in his heart. His eyes were on Nangang Wei. Obviously, she was shocked to a great extent that she was still alive. It can be seen from her trembling eyes that her eyes were a little red. When she looked directly at Wu Yu, she quickly shifted her gaze, as if she didn't want Wu Yu to see her mood. This feeling of emotional struggle made Wu Yu a little surprised. She has forgotten me. She must be hoping that I will die soon. Maybe she will be very happy to see me being swallowed by the central Sunday, but why is she so weird now that she sees me alive? It is too difficult to tell what a person is thinking from the outside. Anyway, Nangang Wei is now hiding in the group of demons in Nanyan Demon Continent and is not facing Wu Yu. Wu Yu can only not see her face and expression. Just when he still has some memories of Nangang Wei in his heart, suddenly, outside this space, a burst of black smoke formed a person wearing a wide black robe. In the black robe, only a pair of skinny hands and a skinny pale face were revealed. This person has deep eye sockets, and his teeth seem to have almost fallen out. His face is full of bloodshot, and his eyes are full of bloodshot. It can be said that he smells extremely bad. His appearance shocked the demons around him. Under normal circumstances, cultivators are not too ugly. Demons that transform into human form are even more beautiful. However, there is a type of person whose appearance may become increasingly ugly. They are ghost cultivators who use extreme cultivation methods. Generally speaking, they are no older than Emperor Yu and will not look too old. However, this person looks much older than Emperor Yu. All of this shows that he is a ghost cultivator who cultivates in a relatively cold, cruel, and bloodthirsty way. This means that with his current realm, he should be stepping on a mountain of corpses and a sea of blood. Everyone says that a big fish is about to be caught. Is it the daughter of Emperor 11, or one of the other top 10 emperors and daughters? I also think that there must be more Yanhuang people on the way to the 7th level of the Soul Tower, but I didn't expect that the big fish caught was the resurrected Emperor Le. In this way, The young Emperor Li, who is feared by Emperor Yu and Emperor Xiao, is also here, right? That's also a big fish. The old man's voice was dry and old, like two pieces of paper rubbing against each other. The sound it made was a bit disgusting, or creepy. After seeing him, the faces of Emperor Li, Xuanhuan, and others changed, and they turned pale and even shivered. From this, they were still too young. Of course, it also shows how scary this old guy is. In fact, Wu Yu knew him, because when he was in the 5th level of the Soul Tower, close to the central sun, this person was also in the position closest to the central sun. He was basically the strongest ghost cultivator in the ancient Soul Tower. He was also the younger brother of the current emperor of the Devil Sky Dynasty. Wu Yu didn't remember his specific name, but he had a title, Prince of Darkness, in charge of the supergiant city Dark City in the north of the Demon Sky Dynasty. He was extremely powerful and his military strength had reached the 8th level of the 3 disasters asking for the way, which was comparable to that of Emperor Yu. He was considered one of the super geniuses of that generation of the Yama world. Coincidentally, he was born one day earlier than Emperor Yu, so he happened to be qualified to enter the ancient Soul Tower. It's him. The Dark Prince. Then his heavenly spirit Dao artifact must be the legendary Dark Stone Pillar. A heavenly spirit Dao artifact with 860,000 magic arrays. Then the space we are trapped in must be the legendary Dark Boundless. In this world, we can't get out without defeating the Dark Prince. We are really in big trouble, even though Wu Yu is very strong now. Now Li Daizi is much more scared than when he met Xiao Daizi. This chapter is not over yet, please click on the next page to continue reading the exciting content. According to legend, this is a guy who killed people like crazy, was cruel and merciless, and had millions of corpses. Killing is his way. It turns out that the heavenly spirit Dao artifact is called the Dark Stone Pillar. And this space is called Dark Boundless. Wu Yu remembered that when he was reading the information at that time, there was also a related description. He roughly remembered that this was indeed a magic array world, which was equivalent to them being trapped in another space. The outside world could not see this place, and if they wanted to get out of here, they basically needed to defeat the Dark Prince. Even if they didn't attack him, it would be troublesome to hide here. Although his body could get out of here, Nanshan Wanjiao and the others couldn't, so Wu Yu couldn't leave alone. This Dark Prince is one of the strongest people in this ancient Soul Tower. No less than Li Daizi, Xiao Daizi, and others. But Wu Yu was not impatient. He was so strong now, and Xiao Daizi was forced to retreat head-on. There was really nothing that could scare him. What does the Dark Prince want to do? Trapping us and then killing us to silence us? It doesn't seem to be any good for you. Just to reduce the number of opponents competing for the Yanhuang Gold Pearl, Wu Yu asked them calmly. They didn't see any panic on Wu Yu's face. At the same time, he was also looking at other people. After a brief observation, he had some understanding of the dozens of people present. This group of people were very strong. After all, those who could exist in the 6th level of the Soul Tower were not small characters. Most of them were demons, and they were basically demon kings. Among the dozens of people, there were more than 50 who could be called demon kings and had their own names. In addition to some individuals, there were mainly 4 groups of people, who were considered to be the most powerful besides the Dark Prince. The first group was the demons of the Nanyan Empire. In form, Nangong Wei was naturally the leader, but the strongest among them was not Nangong Wei. Among them, there were many demon kings of the 6th level of the realm of asking questions. Among them, there was a demon king of the 7th level of the realm of asking questions, who was the strongest. He was a middle-aged man standing next to Nangong Wei, with a slender figure and long black hair. He was a little weird and strange, with dark green eyes. Wu Yu certainly knew him. In Nanyan Demon Continent, his name was Nine-Headed Demon King. Wu Yu had met him in the Heavenly Demon Emperor's palace. He did not belong to any demon lord and lived alone. However, after Huangzhun unified Nanyan demon continent, he served Huangzhun at all times. There are also three groups of relatively large forces, all of which are sea demons. The Dark Prince of Ghost Cultivation, the demons of Nanyan demon continent, and a large number of sea demons. It is really strange that this group of people gathered together, especially the land demons and sea demons that actually united together. Of course, before Huangzhun appeared, Nanyan demon continent was not the main group of land demons. In the past, the ones who hated the sea demons more were the Million Demon Mountain and the Heavenly Demon Empire. The three large groups of sea demons are Wu Yu's old acquaintance, the Dead Spirit Sea, and two groups that are not very familiar, namely the Antarctic Vortex and the sea demons of the Emperor of Heaven. Emperor Yu also saw them. He was afraid that Wu Yu didn't recognize them, so he hurriedly said, "There is a group of people in the Dead Sea. There is a person who has reached the 7th level of the Dao realm. His name is the Lord of the Dead Sea. His body is very strange. He was originally a sea area. The dead creatures in that sea area accumulated resentment. Over time, all the dead souls merged with the sea water and unexpectedly gave birth to spiritual wisdom and became demons. In ancient times, this sea water was called the Dead Sea. The four seas grew stronger and eventually became the current Lord of the Dead Sea. Because his body is sea water, he is particularly difficult to deal with. And the other demons in the Dead Sea are also quite good. This Lord of the Dead Sea does not belong to the floating spirit demon lord, so he did not go with Linghan and the others. Of course, they also look down on Linghan and the others. There are a group of demons in the Antarctic Vortex, and there is also a demon at the 7th level of the realm of asking questions, that is the Antarctic Ice Beast. This is the most supreme bloodline of the Antarctic Vortex. The demon master of the Antarctic Vortex is an Antarctic Ice Beast. This Antarctic Ice Beast should also be related to the demon master. Wu Yu took a look and found that the group of demons were very cold all over. Among them, there was a man who looked like a teenager, and his body seemed to be made of ice. He was the Antarctic Ice Beast. This group of demons, and the last demon at the 7th level of the realm of asking questions, came from the Emperor of Heaven's Thunder Pool. Heaven Swallowing Record. Author, Fengqing Yang. Chapter 1112. The Heavenly Emperor's Thunder Pond is a little far away from the Yanhuang ancient territory. Few people have been to that place. It is also a sea area, but the water that makes up the entire sea area is integrated with endless lightning. In that vast sea area, lightning surged, which was much more terrifying than the lightning in the clouds. It was a sea of countless lightning and thunder. The demons there were born in such an extreme environment. They were born with lightning and thunder, and they were all creatures born for lightning. Their Taoist magical powers were all born in the thunder. There is a similar area in the Yanhuang ancient territory, namely Baolazii. Baolazii is also an area where lightning gathers, but in terms of density of lightning and thunder, it is definitely not as dense as the Heavenly Emperor's Thunder Pond. Moreover, the overall strength of Baolazii is not as good as Heavenly Emperor Leiqi. In the Heavenly Emperor Thunder Pond, there are rumors that the Heavenly Emperor Thunder Pond was formed when a lightning bead abandoned by the Jade Emperor fell into the mortal world. So these demons from the Heavenly Emperor's Thunder Pond are basically covered in lightning. The strongest one among them has a strong body, wrapped in purple thunder, with sharp teeth and a very fierce face. This person's body should be the Celestial Emperor Thunder Dragon, which is also a top bloodline of the Heavenly Emperor Thunder Pool. There are no more than 10 in number. Although he is not actually a divine dragon, it is said that he also has the bloodline of a divine dragon, and his combat power is definitely no better than that of the Dead Sea Monarch. Or maybe it's the Antarctic Ice Beast Emperor Yu quickly told Wu Yu everything he knew. He made Wu Yu realize how terrifying his opponent was. There is no one like the Shadow King to help him this time. In short, these four groups of people are actually quite similar. They are all led by at least the 7th level of the Dao realm. The remaining demon kings are almost just spectators. Of course, the main body of this group of people is still the ghost. Xiu Dark Prince, what on earth do they want to do? One asked at the 8th level, 4 asked at the 7th level, and dozens asked at the 6th level. When he first came in, a person who was equivalent to Chuyin's 6th level of Dao realm could make Wu Yu and his group go to the west. But at this time, Wu Yu was not in awe. When Wu Yu quickly understood the strength of this group of people, the Dark Prince said slowly, "The truth is like this, everyone is trying to grab the Yan Golden Pearl, and it seems pointless for me to restrict the Yanhuang tribe by myself. But now, I have more friends to help me. To deal with you Yanhuang tribe, we are willing to put aside our past grudges and work together. Although it may not work once or twice, but over time, through our joint efforts, we will always gain something. Don't you believe it?" After finishing speaking, he pointed to the dark stone pillar behind Wu Yu. When Wu Yu looked back, he found that the dark stone pillar began to become dim and finally became transparent. When it became transparent, he was shocked to see that there were several people inside the dark stone pillar. 10 villains. Those people seemed to have turned into rocks, motionless, and locked in the dark stone pillars. Soon, the transparent dark stone pillar returned to its dark and smooth appearance. Although it was only for a moment, Wu Yu could see almost everyone clearly. These people have all turned into stone and been locked in the dark stone pillar. Although they may not be dead, at least they will not be able to come out of the dark stone pillar until the matter of the ancient soul tower is over. After showing it to Wu Yu, the Dark Prince smiled slightly and said, "A little adds up to a lot. For example, now, I have captured 63 strong men from the Yanhuang tribe. This shows that my trap is quite effective. Before you take the bait, we have just taken down Emperor He and his subordinates, and we have gained a lot. Of course, Emperor He is not our biggest gain. Before that, we had taken care of the 6th Emperor's daughter, Emperor Yun. She is asking the 7th level, as well as the 10th Emperor, Emperor Feng, Emperor Lei, Emperor Yu's daughter, etc. Did you kill them?" Wu Yu couldn't help but tremble at his cruelty. A dozen of the 63 people were the sons and daughters of emperors, and they all fell into his hands. Among them are Emperor Yun's daughter, Emperor He's son and Emperor Feng's son, all of whom are among the top 10 emperors' sons and daughters. Emperor He, Wu Yu had just taken away his Tianling Taoist weapon. Unexpectedly, he fell into this trap just before Wu Yu. After hearing what Wu Yu said, the Dark Prince hurriedly shook his head and said, "Kill the Emperor's son? I wouldn't dare. As for us, we just want to let them rest and stop running around. The treasures of pilgrimage from all nations are ours. Just make it up. Since the ancient emperor took it out, it is impossible to give it to you again. Now that the Yanhuang gold pearl has not shown up, so many of my brothers and sisters are idle, so they have joined together to let more Yanhuang people, the competitors, should take a rest. After we deal with you and Emperor Zi, we will have fewer competitors and more people we are cooperating with. In the end, Emperor Yu and Emperor Xiao will also be in my darkness. You've been resting in the stone pillar for a while. Of course, don't worry. When the competition for the flame golden pearl is over, I will let you return to the city where you are huddled." When he finished speaking, a group of people around him laughed, visibly laughing. Indeed, in such a large group, in addition to the Yanhuang tribe, at least a quarter of the powerful foreigners have gathered here, and there may be other powerful people joining them in the future. For example, Nangongwei probably join them later. They lead people into a closed trap, and then surround them with many people and bully the weak. Of course, they have tried every time. By this time, it was clear what their purpose was. In fact, their alliance itself is what Emperor He is worried about, but Emperor He wants to unite to fight against his opponents, but the purpose is not the alliance itself, but Emperor He. Wu Yu looked at Nangongwei again. She stood up at this time and seemed to have come out of her previous mood. She stared at Wu Yu and said, "Wu Yu, after seeing the fate of Emperor He and Emperor Yun's daughter, what will happen to them again? Seeing our strength, you already know what you are doing. I advise you and your group to stop resisting and just let the Prince of Darkness take action. If you are turned into stone, you will only sleep for a period of time, and your lives will not be harmed. When you wake up, come, the fight for the flame golden pearl is over. In this case, you can at least survive in this ancient soul tower, right?" "What you said seems to be a reward." Wu Yu smiled coldly. Of course he was very unhappy being trapped in such a place. The combination of ghost cultivators, demons, and sea demons was indeed terrifying, but for the current for him, it would be ridiculous just to scare him to this extent. It's a pity that Nangong Wei still underestimates him. If you still overestimate your capabilities and are stubborn, don't blame us for being rude. But don't forget that you were so bold last time that you were almost swallowed by the sun and almost died. This time, we are also giving you a gift. You have a way to survive, don't be shameless anymore." Nangong Wei's eyes were full of enthusiasm and she was condescending. This feeling of being superior and bossy reminded Wu Yu of how she still underestimated him when she was in the Shushan Immortal section. When Wu Yu heard what she said, he couldn't help but laugh and said, "Come on, if you want to say that, then let your people come down. To deal with Wu Yu alone, there is no need for all of you to surround me. I've crippled all the losers like you from Nanyan Demon Continent, so I guess you won't say that." In fact, their impression of Wu Yu was that Nangong Wei remembered that Wu Yu had defeated the eight-eyed bull demon king. In their opinion, two people at the 6th level of the Dao realm could defeat Wu Yu. So when they heard Wu Yu's loud tone and thought that all of them were going to attack him, a group of monsters laughed again. "Is this guy crazy? All of us against him. Back then, we only dispatched 2 people who were at the 7th level of the Dao realm. He Daisa's group of 10 people and the 9-headed demon king from Nanyan Demon Continent are all done." They laughed heartily and laughed heartily. The monster in Xuanhuan is stupid. After opening up his spiritual wisdom, he is also a stupid beast. When he saw it today, he really lived up to his reputation. When they were laughing, Wu Yu's words made their laughter stop abruptly. He actually laughed at them for their ignorance. The Dark Prince looked at the situation and said calmly, "Okay, let's take this first, and then wait for other big prey. Stop making trouble, it's a waste of time." They enjoyed the feeling of being angry and helpless when seeing the Yanhuang tribe, so they humiliated them repeatedly, but this trick didn't work on Wu Yu. "This guy is not afraid of boiling water. Let me deal with him. Princess, can you?" Just after the Dark Prince finished speaking, the lanky man 9-headed demon king spoke next to Nangong Wei. Wu Yu had just provoked the demon clan of Nanyan Demon Continent. Of course they had to step forward at this time. Of course, they will definitely not have too many people take action, otherwise it will be embarrassing if they win. The 9-headed demon king has already passed the action. According to others, 2 people at the 6th level of the Dao realm are enough. But for the sake of safety, the 9-headed demon king decided to take action himself. "Well, let him learn to shut up." Nangong Wei's words sounded a bit like she hated iron. I really don't know where she got her confidence. Maybe she enjoys her status as Princess Huang 11. 9-headed demon king. 9-headed demon king. When they attack the prey in the trap, they just have to ensure that they can definitely capture it. This time, the 9-headed demon king asked for help at the 7th level. Of course, the Prince of Darkness let him in, and he instantly entered this darkness unbounded among them. He faced Wu Yu alone. "Just you? Are there others?" Wu Yu looked at him with a smile on his face. "I don't need 10 breaths to get you done. You are growing up very fast. I have seen you in Nanyan Demon Continent, but a junior is a junior after all, and you still have a lot to do." The 9-headed demon king was covered in dark smoke. "Really? But if you don't kill me, I will kill you. Wu Yu's eyes seem to have murderous intent. I'm different from him. He doesn't dare to kill, but I do. So, if you want to go out, you still have 10 breaths of time to think about it. Wu Yu added that he was talking about the Dark Prince. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Heaven Swallowing Record. Author, Fengqing Yang. Chapter 1113. Wu Yu repeatedly provoked him, but the nine-headed Demon King was a highly respected member of the Nanyan Demon Continent. When the juniors saw him, they would kowtow and tremble. But now that Wu Yu was so scorned and threatened with death, and in front of so many people, the nine-headed Demon King naturally felt very unhappy. Princess is right, you should shut up, you beast. After Wu Yu finished speaking, the nine-headed Demon King roared, and for a moment, the Demon King's momentum moved towards Wu Yu to suppress it, filling the entire darkness without borders for a time. Wu Yu also put away his smile. What he said before were all small provocations to get out of trouble. Now the time is ripe and it is time to take action. He moved faster than the nine-headed Demon King. Under the onlookers of the demons, Wu Yu suddenly changed. The main reason was that the turtle shield dragon boat suddenly opened, and Emperor Ji, Nanshan Wanjiao and others had appeared. But it only appeared for a moment. At this moment, the turtle shield and dragon boat transformed into the Emperor's seal and was picked up by Wu Yu. On the other side, Wu Yu finally summoned his new puppet, the Black Phoenix. The moment the Black Phoenix appeared, it swallowed the Emperor and others, including Nanshan Wanjiao and Yezixi, into its belly. Of course, it might be safer in its belly than in the Emperor's seal. What appears now in front of people's eyes is a golden immortal ape that has undergone transformations from the heaven, the earth, and the immortal ape. It is like a demon. In the hand of the golden immortal ape, it is holding a huge and sharp Kylin war halberd Emperor Lin. Behind him, the black steel phoenix of the same size flapped its wings and flew around Wu Yu, with terrifying murderous intent. At this time, Wu Yu's appearance completely changed. He might have looked like a little sheep just now, but now he is definitely a terrifying beast. Say it again, I'm going to kill you this time. Wu Yu said this sentence in his current state, and the power was different. At least after he said it, the others stopped laughing. Even Nangongwei's face seemed a little solemn. She might have thought of the nightmare Wu Yu had brought to him. Yu, the nine-headed Demon King was even more irritated. However, the difference between now and just now is that he did feel the pressure brought by Wu Yu, especially the puppet Black Phoenix, so he did not dare Twota. This time he actually showed his true form in this darkness and boundlessness. You must know that the last time he dealt with the Yun Emperor's daughter, who was at the 7th level of the Dao realm, he did not reveal his true form until later. Nangongwei seemed a little surprised when she looked at Wu Yu's Black Phoenix puppet. After all, it looked the same as her current body, so her mood would always change a little. However, people were immediately attracted by the nine-headed Demon King's true form. Wu Yu knew what its true form was. It was a jet black head with a very thick torso, with 9 prongs branching out from the neck. There were 9 ferocious snake heads, and on the top of each snake head, there was a huge sarcoma, like a hammer. This is a 9-headed black snake. He can definitely become a top bloodline at the Demon Lord level. Among the 6 Demon Lords in Nanyan Demon Continent, he is also considered one of the strongest. Now this 9-headed black snake is hidden in the black smoke. It is fierce, thick, and majestic. It is definitely an ancient beast. Wu Yu hasn't fought a demon for a long time. The flesh and blood of demons above the 7th level of the realm are extremely strong, and they are all exquisite food for the sky-swallowing body. 9-headed Demon King. Take him down. Many demons were cheering. The nine-headed black snake's body was so ferocious that it actually frightened them from the bottom of their bones, making it easier for demons to obey more terrifying demons. In fact, demons are good at magical powers and physical bodies, but Wu Yu is much scarier than demons in these two aspects. At this time, the 9 huge snake heads of the nine-headed black snake immediately smashed towards Wu Yu at a terrifying speed. The 9 snake heads turned into 9 fists at this time. For a moment, the sky was filled with snake shadows. It was overwhelming. The black phoenix behind Wu Yu retreated behind him, while its body faced the difficulties and charged towards the opponent. The emperor's presence kept changing in his hands. For a moment, he and the 9-headed black snake were fighting together. And it's still a bloody fight? Puff puff puff. For a moment, black blood rushed to the sky. People thought that this kind of confrontation would be fierce, but the result was completely opposite. The 9-headed black snake and Wu Yu were fighting hand to hand. They were just looking for death. When Wu Yu's weapon was changed from a stick to one with 1 thorn and 2 blades. After the Kailan war halberd, it was even more lethal. A large number of wounds appeared on the 9-headed black snake. If it hadn't been for too much flesh and blood, Wu Yu would have cut off several heads in a short time. Others the demon was also in a daze. The 9-headed black snake was defeated miserably, covered in black blood, and the 9 snake capitals were retreating steadily. Use magical powers to deal with him, Nangong Wei shouted loudly, which finally woke up the 9-headed black snake whose mind was completely blank. He knew that if he continued to fight with this pervert, he would be chopped into pieces. Therefore, he quickly retreated far away. Black water, mysterious territory. Suddenly, he used his natal magical power, and the 9 huge heads suddenly spewed out countless smoke. The smoke instantly filled the entire dark world, and then in an instant, the smoke turned into pitch black cold water. This black water instantly swallowed Wu Yu and Black Phoenix. The 9-headed black snake is equivalent to transforming this unbounded darkness into his own domain, so it directly transforms into a water ball. This cold water is extremely cold. In the first moment of spreading, countless cold waters invaded Wu Yu. With Wu Yu's current body, he could feel the horror of this cold water. It was like countless, densely packed black snakes. The black snakes were very small, but they could tear open the flesh and blood and rush into the body in an instant. If too many rushed in, they would directly tear Wu Yu apart. Fighting in such an environment would also have a huge impact on Wu Yu. This chapter is not over yet. Please click on the next page to continue reading. Indeed, the innate magical powers of demons are quite terrifying. Wu Yu could actually join forces with the Black Phoenix to defeat the opponent in a very short time, but he did not do so. The reason for this is also one of his strategies. If he showed all his strength at the beginning, he might not be able to defeat so many opponents one by one, especially the Dark Prince. So, he was entangled with his opponent in this black water mysterious domain. The Black Phoenix showed some low-level methods, making people feel that although this puppet exists, it is not strong. Wu Yu had to defeat his opponent in a way that seemed difficult to people. So, he basically lowered his strength and temporarily fought with the 9-headed black snake. When the 9-headed black snake began to use its innate magical power, he seemed to be completely suppressed. In the unclear black water mysterious domain, a fierce fight was fought between 2 evenly matched people. After half a quarter of an hour, the 9-headed Demon King had not taken down Wu Yu. They had to be shocked by Wu Yu's terribleness. He has improved again? To this extent, Nangong Wei seemed to be confused. She had been frightened by Wu Yu many times. Every time, it was like this. He could not be killed no matter what, and his progress could not be stopped. He didn't reach this level last time. Don't worry too much, he's not that strong, it's the 9-headed Demon King who is slowly killing him, but just now, his physical combat was really excellent. That's good. Most people still have great patience with the 9-headed Demon King. Only Nangongwei has a lot of ominous premonitions. Wu Yu saw that the time seemed to be about right. He has accumulated a lot of terrifying power, all in this emperor's presence. Just now, the nine-headed black snake had a magical power called 9 Deaths and 1 Life Mysterious Gate. When it was used, Wu Yu was careless and almost got hit. In the end, he relied on the somersault cloud to escape from danger in a small area. After the nine-headed black snake used this innate magical power, it finally had a little chance, and Wu Yu found the opportunity. He suddenly appeared under the nine-headed black snake, descending from the sky, and at the same time activated the second magic circle on the Kylin war halberd. King of all beasts, sky-piercing divine drill. He is now under this nine-headed black snake. To him, the nine-headed black snake above him is the sky. In the Emperor's presence, countless magic arrays are activated. Endless magic power gathers on the war halberd, and the strength of the physical body and the purple palace energy burst to the extreme at the same time. Even if there is no violent magic, it is terrifying enough at this time. Break. One move exploded. At this time, Wu Yu is like the king of all beasts. The Kylin war halberd is his teeth. The three-headed fire Kylin has actually merged into his flesh and blood, causing a huge change in his golden fairy ape. The light and shadow are like a monkey changing into a Kylin. At this moment, he held the Emperor's presence with both hands and suddenly went up. At the moment of going up, he used the halberd's two-edged stab as the sharpest point. Together with the Kylin war halberd, his body began to spin wildly at a terrifying speed. In the first moment of this rotation, a huge, golden tornado was formed. The halberd spike is the sharpest part of the tornado. This golden tornado almost immediately tore the black water mysterious domain apart, aiming at the belly of the nine-headed black snake. At this moment, Wu Yu used the piercing god drill to form the tornado, which went up with a bang. The power of the storm in the tornado had already torn everything apart, not to mention the sharpest part, the piercing god drill, which had not yet been used. In this storm, it seemed as if thousands of beasts were running. For a moment, the endless roar made the demons outside feel fear. This move was Wu Yu's explosion, which came too fast and too fiercely. Before the nine-headed black snake realized that Wu Yu could still be so strong, the golden storm entangled his body, and the sharpest part instantly tore a huge wound on his body, which Wu Yu instantly pierced. Then, the golden storm tore the nine-headed black snake apart in the scream of pain. Sure enough, he did what he said and killed his opponent. Perfect Anti-Theft Chapter. Please use the search engine to search for keywords Cloud and Come and Pavilion. All kinds of novels are available for you to watch. Heaven Swallowing Record. Author, Fengqing Yang. Chapter 1114. Wu Yu said at the beginning that if the nine-headed demon king came in and wanted to defeat him, he would kill him. At first, the onlookers just laughed, but now when the body of the nine-headed demon king appeared in their eyes and could no longer struggle, they stood blankly, even though they may be old guys who have been cultivating Taoism for more than 400 years. The shock in their hearts now probably only occurs when they are the youngest and most inexperienced. They are all veterans. Who knew that one day, they would be frightened by a young man's decisive killing? Under the gaze of countless pairs of dull eyes. The eyes of the young man with golden flames burning, domineering, majestic, and full of intimidation did not change his expression. He even ignored the miserable looks of the demons in Nanyan Demon Continent and turned their leader this time, the nine-headed black snake. The corpse was put into the Sumuru bag. Then transferred to the body of Swallowing the Sky. You guys are becoming more and more rude. They just want to imprison you in the dark stone pillar. It's better for you to kill people and eat them Ming Long Tutade. Wu Yu did not stop his movements and said, if it wasn't for the shock of the ancient emperor, how could they not want to kill me? Furthermore, the person they dare not kill is the emperor's son, not me. In addition, my swallowing sky, the principle of my body is that if someone doesn't attack me, I won't attack them. I know how far I will kill the opponent. He has a ruler in mind whether to kill or not. Today, he was trapped in this dark and boundless place, with his life and death uncertain. If he didn't do this, it would be very difficult for him to achieve anything in this ancient soul tower. He didn't think he was qualified to snatch the flame golden pearl before, but now that he has reached this point, he never wants to stop here. He moved quickly, and in less than 3 breaths after killing the 9-headed black snake, the sky-swallowing giant beast was already devouring it in the floating life tower. Now there was the black phoenix flying behind him. He was holding the unicorn halberd in his hand and looking at everyone with indifferent eyes. Sure enough, from this moment on, he had provoked everyone's anger, and the heroes were furious for a while. The demons from the Nanyan demon continent, the Sea of Death, the Antarctic whirlpool, and the Heavenly Emperor's Thunder Pond were furious, crazy, and ferocious. If Darkness Unbounded hadn't stopped them, they would have probably rushed up and tore Wu Yu alive. He actually killed the 9-headed demon king. He is a turtle in a urn. He has the courage of a leopard. He must not be let go if he kills people from our camp. Prince of Darkness. This Wu Yu must be killed. He was the one who killed first. Kill him. Kill him. People who dare to kill our Nanyan Empire deserve to die. Princess Huang 11, quickly asked the Dark Prince to help humiliate Wu Yu to death. They couldn't help but beat the border of darkness, looked at Wu Yu with scarlet eyes, and even stretched out their fangs. Nangongwei was in a whirlpool, and Wu Yu's eyes collided with hers again. At this time, Wu Yu just waved his hands and smiled, as if everything he did was insignificant. Don't blame me, just blame this 9-headed demon king. His skills are inferior to humans. I told him from the beginning that if his skills are inferior to humans, he will be killed by me, Wu Yu said with a smile on his face under countless roars. Smile and say these words lightly. This kind of calmness, indifference, and powerful inner strength are really moving for him as a young man. In this ancient soul tower, his performance has repeatedly exceeded people's expectations of geniuses. Definition: breaking through the limits of people's imagination. Nangongwei bit her red lips lightly, her face was slightly pale, and her eyes were trembling. The emotions in her eyes were too complicated, including despair, fear, unwillingness, hatred, and many things that Wu Yu couldn't see. Although she didn't say a word, the look in her eyes caused some changes in Wu Yu's heart. He felt that he had bullied her. And all the other demons shouted 3 words in the end, that is, kill him. For a moment, the cry of killing shook Wu Yu's ears. It did not scare him, and it gave him too much youthful pride. This made him feel extremely surging at this time. He was not suppressed at all, but instead opening his arms, facing these many monsters, he said loudly, if you want to kill me, just do it, don't just talk about it. The Nanyan Empire, the Antarctic Whirlpool, the Undead Monster Clan, and the Thunder Pool of the Heavenly Emperor are all just those who dare to scream, you are a trash that dare not do anything, trash. Haha. This provocation indeed made the demons even more obsessed, even though they were far older than Wu Yu. At this time, he was still provoked by Wu Yu, and he was a little angry. Nangongwei, oh no, Princess Huang 11, you, a demon from Nanyan Demon Continent, are not very good. I only spent 30% of my efforts to let him return to the West. When will you dare to come up and fight with me? What about fighting? Wu Yu's eyes finally fell on Nangongwei. With that sharp look, Nangongwei couldn't bear his sharpness and heat, couldn't bear the collision of his willpower, and even took a few steps back, even if everything the demon was even more agitated at this time, but she still couldn't say a word. She has been completely suppressed by Wu Yu. Everything she said before the battle has now turned into a slap on her face. The panic and powerlessness she once felt when facing Wu Yu swept over her again. Come, this fear consumes her. Okay, stop arguing. The 3 of you, Help the nine-headed demon king to take revenge. Emperor, you cannot die, but Wu Yu can go to hell. Just as they were arguing, the Dark Prince reappeared in the darkness, suppressed the noisy demons, and made arrangements. This chapter is not over yet. Please click on the next page to continue reading the exciting content. Because he must be used to get people to go in and deal with Wu Yu, and this dark boundless was originally his, so of course people listen to his orders. The Dark Prince, he should be in control of this dark boundless. Wu Yu bet right, he was afraid that the Dark Prince and the three of them would attack together, then he would be in big trouble. It is precisely because of this that he did not show his true strength when dealing with the nine-headed demon king. To outsiders, he broke out at the last moment and narrowly defeated the nine-headed demon king. It is undeniable that Wu Yu's strength is beyond their imagination and has reached a heaven-defying level, but with the Dark Prince and the three of them here, the demons certainly don't think there is any problem in killing Wu Yu today. The three of them refer to the Antarctic Ice Beast, the Dead Sea Monarch, and the Emperor Thunder Dragon. They come from the Antarctic Vortex, the Dead Sea, and the Emperor Thunder Pond respectively. The reason why the Dark Prince asked these three to take action instead of letting everyone else go together is that it would be too chaotic if everyone went together, which would be good for Wu Yu. The second reason is that this is almost 3 times the power of the nine-headed demon king, which is more than enough to deal with Wu Yu. With the permission of the Dark Prince, the Dead Sea Monarch, the Antarctic Ice Beast, and the Emperor Thunder Dragon came in from 3 directions respectively, surrounding Wu Yu and the Black Phoenix. The Dark Prince is leading the changes in the Dark Boundless. He needs to completely close this space, and now he has expanded this closed space. The battlefield just now has expanded more than 10 times in an instant, becoming extremely vast, so that Nangongwei and the others are far away from Wu Yu. However, the 3 people including the Antarctic Ice Beast had enough fighting space. The demons themselves needed a huge fighting space to play their role. Nine-headed Demon King, the 3 of us will avenge you now. Kill Wu Yu and use his blood to sacrifice you. The 3 were all ruthless and would not give Wu Yu any chance to delay time. At the first moment, they almost changed their bodies and appeared in this dark and boundless world. First was the Dead Sea Monarch. His body was a sea area. Looking around, a blood-colored ocean appeared in front of Wu Yu. It was a huge mass of water. He had no idea how to attack him. Such a body could change into all shapes, and it was like it could not be killed. And in that blood-colored ocean, there seemed to be countless things. At this time, they were shouting, crying and howling, and corpses kept turning out from it. Those gloomy corpses were full of traces of time, and the sound of crying and howling was also moving. And the Antarctic Ice Beast looked like an iceberg, with edges and spikes all over its body. After it appeared, the temperature of the dark and boundless world dropped directly, and its body was also changing. It could form a super beast similar to a polar bear from the iceberg at any time. The roar from the iceberg was also thrilling. Finally, it was the Emperor Thunder Dragon from the Emperor Thunder Pool. It was indeed not a real dragon. To put it bluntly, it was actually an electric eel, but it seemed to have the blood of a dragon. It was covered with blue dragon scales, and there were eye-like symbols on the dragon scales. The eyes burst out with surging blue lightning. Countless dragon scales produced a terrifying lightning network, which was entangled on the body of the Emperor Thunder Dragon, making it look like a dragon flying in the clouds. The 3 sea demons are all top-level bloodlines, and they have all cultivated to the 7th level of the realm of asking questions. Even if they can't become demon gods, they are all super overlords occupying a piece of heaven and earth in this world of Yama. It's just that no one thought that they would attack Wu Yu, an unknown person, in this ancient soul tower today. In this ancient soul tower, Wu Yu went from a small character in the Yanhuan Corps who was not even as good as the Tianlong general to today's dominance of this ancient soul tower. The transformation that has taken place is really unexpected. The ancient emperor's preaching and the Vajrabuddha body of the great son Tathagata made him really soar into the sky and become the overlord of this world of Yanfu. At this time, the three super demon kings had already had the intention of killing and had no intention of stopping. Just when they were about to attack, Wu Yu smiled and said, "Why rush? 2 against 3 is not fair." After saying this, a burst of black smoke emerged in the Fusion Tower. The smoke eventually turned into a strange young man with white hair and bloodshot eyes. The weird temperament on his body was shocking. A closer look showed that it was still Wu Yu's appearance. Perfect Anti-Theft Chapter. Please use the search engine to search for the keywords Yun and Lai and Ge. Various novels are available for you to watch. Heaven Swallowing Record. Author, Fengqing Yang. Chapter 1115. The huge body of the nine-headed black snake has been completely devoured and digested by the giant beast. The body of the sky devourer has become stronger. Wu Yu himself is very clear about the specific extent. It can be said that it has reached the limit of being able to maintain a balance with the main body. Now, the white-haired and blood-red-eyed Wu Yu, holding the Emperor's seal in his hand, appeared next to Wu Yu's main body. The two bodies look exactly the same, evenly matched, and each has its own advantages. Since people remind themselves that this is his clone, it is difficult not to think that this is also Wu Yu's main body when they really fight. The main body, the Sky Devourer, and the Black Phoenix. When Wu Yu realized that the situation today was difficult, he made a series of plans. He reacted quickly. The nine-headed Demon King was his first step to kill, otherwise it would be difficult for the Sky Devourer to have the ability to change the situation in the future, but now it has it. You should be thankful that the Dark Prince did not join in because he wanted to maintain the stability of the Dark Boundless, otherwise you would have no hope today. You can escape, but your friends can't Ming Long hit him again. Don't worry, with his pride in his status, if he wants to take action, he will never join others in the siege. Wu Yu knows these old guys. Unless they have to, they will attach great importance to face. So what are you going to do now? Quick battle and quick decision. In the first battle, he hid his strength, and in the second battle, he wanted a hot and quick battle, but it was obvious that his three combat forces did not have any advantages against the other side's three combat forces, especially the Black Phoenix, which was even a certain disadvantage. After all, the puppets would always be a little bit behind the demons. Although it was not easy to die in battle, it was very difficult to defeat the other side. Although it was difficult, there was no way to get stuck in this dark and boundless place. He also didn't want to be turned into stone statues and trapped in the dark stone pillar like He Daizi, Yun Dainu, Feng Daizi and others. His heaven-devouring body and Black Phoenix quickly dispersed and went in two other directions. At the same time, his body rushed towards his chosen opponent, Emperor Tianlong Lilong. This was the breakthrough point Wu Yu chose today, and he naturally used the most familiar body to break through. It was originally a crushing battle. At this moment, the number of people was equal, and it seemed that they were evenly matched. For some reason, the demons watching were a little nervous. "Brother Lei, wait a moment, I will deal with his clone and come to help you immediately. I will also cripple this puppet first." In fact, they also had their own selfish motives. If each of the three dealt with one, they certainly didn't want to encounter Wu Yu's body, because they didn't think they were stronger than the nine-headed Demon King. The only advantage might be that Wu Yu had experienced a battle and might have been at the end of his strength. Since Wu Yu has locked onto the Emperor Thunder Dragon, the other two are of course willing to kill the weak one first. Of course, they are also willing to besiege Wu Yu together with the Emperor Thunder Dragon after they have solved the problem. In this way, as long as the Emperor Thunder Dragon holds on, they actually have two breakthroughs. "Damn it! I'm going to kill you," the Emperor Thunder Dragon cursed, and the surging blue thunder all over his body violently swept across, forming an overwhelming network. At this time, it has occupied nearly a quarter of the area of the dark and boundless. It wanders in the center, just like a dragon. If Wu Yu wants to attack him, he must enter his place that is like a thunder pool. The Emperor Thunder Dragon may not be cursing Wu Yu, but may also be the other two demon kings. After all, they run very fast. Wu Yu locked onto him, it's his bad luck. Because at this moment, Wu Yu must quickly solve him to have a chance. Therefore, he rushed forward with the intention of killing. Of course, Emperor Lei Long also felt Wu Yu's murderous intent at this time. He dared not neglect it at all. After all, he saw the nine-headed black snake lose his life with his own eyes. You treat me as a soft persimmon, I will kill you. His temper was known for his hot temper. When he cursed this sentence, lightning burst out in the thunder area, and countless electric snakes rushed towards Wu Yu and strangled him. Look over there. Before colliding with him, Wu Yu suddenly smiled strangely and pointed to the side. At this time, the body of the devouring heaven and the black phoenix were actually fighting with their opponents. The battle between the two sides directly attracted the attention of most demons. They were shocked to find that the inconspicuous Black Phoenix and Wu Yu's strange identity could withstand the attacks of two 7th-level masters of the realm of asking questions. Moreover, he was calm and at ease. This was another terrifying shock brought by Wu Yu, which made people suffocate. In their angry eyes, there was also some panic and fear, as well as deep awe of Wu Yu. In their eyes, this was truly a heaven-defying existence. His existence seemed to have broken the rules of this world. It was as incredible as if an ant that could carry a sword suddenly appeared in a group of ants. After the surprise brought by the heaven-devouring body and the Black Phoenix, Wu Yu's next performance was another surprise. At this time, a huge silver eye appeared on the side of Wu Yu. The eye was born in the darkness and appeared out of thin air. The silver pupil was slowly rotating, and there were many black patterns on it. When rotating, these patterns kept changing, which was dazzling. At this time, the Emperor Thunder Dragon was attracted by Wu Yu and actually noticed the silver eye. But after watching, he showed a strange behavior. He suddenly laughed with tears in his eyes, looked crazy, and swam wildly in this thunder pool, up and down, like a madman, sometimes laughing, sometimes crying. It was completely incomprehensible what he meant, and he was still muttering something in his mouth. This chapter is not over yet, please click on the next page to continue reading the exciting content. In fact, that was Nanshan Wanjiu's magic pupil. Before they came in, Nanshan Wanjiu decided to help Wu Yu a little and do what he could. He was not as good as Wu Yu in fighting, but his illusion, performed with the magic pupil, could indeed assist Wu Yu to a great extent. Now the Emperor Thunder Dragon affected by the magic pupil can be said to be quite tragic. Of course, this is also Wu Yu's best chance. The Emperor of Heaven is coming to the Burning God formation. The rough body of his golden fairy ape rushed into the thunder pool, seemingly unaffected. He caught up with the Emperor Thunder Dragon, and stabbed the sky with the Kirin halberd in his hand. Above the thunder pool, a burning golden cloud was born, and a terrible fairy king was on it. His whole body was in flames. As if summoned by Wu Yu, he stabbed down with a huge golden flame halberd. The majestic volcano was like the sun falling, roaring the sky and the earth. The Emperor Thunder Dragon was struggling and panicking. He roared and set off countless thunder waves, rushing up, seeming to show his innate magical powers, but under the influence of the phantom demon eye, those hasty reactions were completely ineffective under Wu Yu's prepared attack. The golden flame halberd pierced through everything and inserted into the huge body of the Emperor Thunder Dragon. It instantly penetrated and then exploded. From the inside to the outside, it completely engulfed the Emperor Thunder Dragon in a short time. The lightning and thunder suddenly shrank, as if to protect the Emperor Thunder Dragon. The Emperor Thunder Dragon was also in the tragic situation and roared wildly. Unfortunately, the power of the Tiangong Emperor Lin Burning God formation was so terrible. After the three screams, people had seen that his body was almost burned to ashes. This fiery attack happened in an instant. People could not imagine that Wu Yu could control the situation in this way. I have consumed too much energy. I will go to rest first. It depends on you next. Brother Nanshan Wanjiao actually consumed a lot this time, but he also successfully caused a huge impact on the Emperor Thunder Dragon. He is now in the state of no trace in the sky, which is still very dangerous in this dark and boundless state. Don't worry, Wu Yu dealt with this opponent without stopping for a moment, and rushed to the body of the Devouring Heaven. The body of the Devouring Heaven was fighting with the Antarctic Ice Beast at this time. However, because the Emperor Thunder Dragon died quickly, the shock to the Antarctic Ice Beast was too great. At this moment, seeing Wu Yu coming towards him, he was frightened and quickly shrank his body and hid far away, throwing the body of the Devouring Heaven away. On the other side, the Lord of the Dead Sea did the same. Even though he had suppressed the Black Phoenix at the beginning, he quickly retreated and joined the Antarctic Ice Beast. This sudden escape really surprised people. Of course, no one laughed at them at this time. After all, they were all stunned by the instantaneous death of the Emperor Thunder Dragon. Once again stunned, Wu Yu gave them incredible things again. Now they looked at Wu Yu as if he were a god. Even outside the dark boundless, they lost their voices and couldn't help but take a few steps back, as if this would make them safer, including Nangong Wei. The second person who died in the battle was at the 7th level of the Dao realm. Wu Yu didn't waste any effort when he killed. The death of Emperor Lei Long was within Wu Yu's expectations, but the remaining two made it difficult for him, because they were scared and fled. In this way, Wu Yu couldn't kill them quickly. The Dark Prince, who he really feared, would definitely take action at this time. This was actually a mistake made by the Dark Prince. He underestimated Wu Yu. If he had surrounded him from the beginning, Wu Yu would have no chance at all. Okay, you go out and help me stabilize the Dark Boundless. Let me do it. At this time, Wu Yu had indeed seen the black-robed man appear in it. He was the most terrifying. He was the one Wu Yu feared the most. However, what Wu Yu feared most was that he and the other two would attack together. However, he still didn't want to make too much noise here. In order to maintain the stability of Dark Boundless, he had to let the Dead Sea Monarch and the Antarctic Ice Beast go out to help guard. He had already changed the magic circle, and these two only needed to contribute their Purple Palace energy. Yes, the two were eager to leave immediately. Now, of course, they thought that only the Dark Prince who was at the 8th level of the Way could deal with Wu Yu. Of course, Wu Yu also knew that the next step would determine whether he could survive. He worked so hard just to be able to deal with the Dark Prince alone, rather than having the devouring body and the Black Phoenix restricted by others. But even so, it was still dangerous. Perfect Anti-Theft Chapter. Please use the search engine to search for the keywords Yun and Lai and Ge. Various novels are available for you to watch. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Heaven Swallowing Record. Author, Fengqing Yang. Chapter 1116. This top-level magic array from the two great heavenly spiritual instruments of the ancient Emperor Yanhuang, under Wu Yu's control, was basically one after the other, with a time difference of less than a breath in between. The attack of the Black Phoenix was just to attract the temptation of the Dark Prince. The real killer move was hidden at this moment. If it didn't come out, it would explode. First, the body of the swallowing sky exhausted all its strength to activate the magic array in the Emperor's seal. When it pointed its sword to the sky, the Penglong and the turtle dragon roared, shaking the Dark Boundless. A sword light rushed into the sky and exploded near the upper wall of the Dark Boundless. Suddenly, white clouds rolled. In the white clouds, there were fairy palaces standing in rows, and 100,000 heavenly soldiers lined up. There were waves of fairy music, and the momentum was overwhelming. Then the sword of Xuanhuan condensed in the clouds. All the Baiun fairy palace and the gods and heavenly soldiers gathered in the blade. The middle of the giant sword was pitch black, with a turtle dragon entrenched, stable and self-assured. The blades on both sides were golden, with penlongs wandering in it, roaring majestically, and murderous intent soaring to the sky. Wu Yu's body, under the violent technique, also exhausted all his strength again. He held the Emperor Lin with both hands and stabbed straight into the sky. The three-headed fire unicorn also soared into the sky, exploding into golden clouds burning with flames. Almost at the same time, the flame immortal king descended, waving his hands, and formed the huge flame war halberd with many golden clouds, almost forming after the sword of Xuanhuan. A sword and a halberd, one in front and one behind, both rushed down from the sky, as if it was a punishment from heaven, especially a punishment for ghost cultivators. One of them contained the aura of immortal killing, specifically killing demons and evil spirits, and the other contained the holy aura of the Emperor, also specifically killing ghosts and monsters. The Dark Prince was the type that was restrained by the sword and halberd, so when this killing move came, especially the flame halberd behind, it covered the sky and the sun. Both of them were like falling meteorites, appearing quickly, making the pride in the Dark Prince's heart disappear instantly. The Dark Prince probably thought that he had easily blocked the attack of the Black Phoenix and that Wu Yu could hardly pose a threat to him. Just as he thought so, he was threatened. At this moment, he was not in a hurry and controlled the gourd of all things. For a moment, countless grey smoke condensed in the gourd of all things, and hundreds of giant beasts were born. Those giant beasts were like entities, not afraid of death at all, and rushed towards the sword and halberd one after another. In the gourd of all things, these giant beasts were endless. When they bit and hit the sword and halberd, they would indeed cause Wu Yu's lethality to pass. Although the sword and halberd broke a large number of giant beasts, the Dark Prince was not completely suppressed. Boom! However, Wu Yu's desperate double kill could not be without effect. No matter how magical the All-King's divine gourd was, it could not catch up with the speed of the sword and the halberd rushing down. At the last moment, the Dark Prince was directly swallowed by his own grey fog, and the sword and the halberd fell from the sky, like a great calamity of the immortal way, and stabbed into the grey fog. For a moment, the sword of the immortal execution exploded into billions of sword chi, violently strangling in the grey fog, turning the grey fog directly into a sea of sword chi. And the flame war halberd, with the power of burning gods, also burned like the scorching sun, and the grey fog also turned into flames. At this time, the flames and sword chi almost merged together, without any conflict, but formed a double strangulation, which greatly increased the power, almost completely locking the Dark Prince inside and constantly beating and killing him, and the demons outside could no longer see the existence of the Dark Prince at this time. Until this time, the 30 breaths were up, and the scene on the Fengguo Tianyun terrace changed. Although people did not see the result, Wu Yu turned the tables. Such fighting ability made many people silent. It is true that the Yanhuang people can cheer, but thinking that Wu Yu's strength means that the possibility of the Emperor's son Le in the end is getting bigger and bigger, those who support other emperors and daughters can only remain silent now. They don't know when it started, they found that they have reached the level of awe for Wu Yu's existence. This young man is so horrible and crazy. Even if Emperor Yu becomes the emperor in the future, how can he suppress him? Don't worry. If that day comes, there will be the ancient emperor. The ancient emperor will definitely consider this issue more than us. Yes, it seems that I have thought too much. Of course you think too much, because the final conclusion has not been made yet. Who knows who the Yanhuang gold pearl belongs to? Emperor Yu, Emperor Xiao, and Emperor 11, the three of them are all at the 8th level of the realm of Taoism. Besides, with that level just now, the Dark Prince may not be defeated. It is still uncertain whether Wu Yu can leave the dark boundless world alive this time. This is a discussion within the Xuanhuan clan, and the others, especially the Demon Heaven clan, are basically speechless, with only tension in their eyes. If you ask who has the most popular reputation in the world of Yanfu these days, without a doubt, it is definitely Wu Yu, the envoy of Emperor Yu. But at this time, Wu Yu himself didn't know whether he could solve the Dark Prince. Now it seemed that he had completely suppressed the other party, but for the time being, Dark Boundless still had no loosening. The violent killing of the two attacking magic arrays was still continuing, which meant that the Dark Prince was still resisting. It was still difficult for Wu Yu to severely injure him. He had actually used all the violent magic, and now his main body was already exhausted. He knew very well that if he couldn't suppress the Dark Prince at once and let him catch his breath, there would definitely be trouble next. He had the somersault cloud to leave, but the key was that Nanshan Wanjiao and Yazixi were still here. They were not of high status, but they could be killed at any time. It was this point, and it was these two, that made Wu Yu decide to take a more crazy risk. Black Phoenix, Wanja Chaoshen killing array. His thinking lasted only a moment, and he thought of Yazixi and Nanshan Wanjiao, and he had already made a decision. At this time, the Emperor's seal of the Devouring Heaven instantly changed into a tortoise shield dragon boat, and took Le Daizi and his group from the Black Phoenix. Then, in an instant, the Black Phoenix was ready. Its huge body went towards the field of the flame sword energy, without hesitation, like a moth to a flame. That kind of fearless will is also because it is a puppet. In its world, there is only obedience, no self. This chapter is not over, please click on the next page to continue reading. Of course, after using this Wanja Chaoshen killing formation, it will only rest for a while, and it will not die. The fusion tower will restore it to its original state. Wu Yu. Wait until I recover, you are dead. Suddenly, the Dark Prince's hideous laughter came from the battlefield. He was probably confused by Wu Yu's suppression, but this also made his murderous intention spread beyond the Dark Boundless. In fact, Nangongwei and the others were quite worried before, because it seemed that the Dark Prince was in trouble, and they almost wanted to escape. But when they heard the Dark Prince's voice at this time, they couldn't help but cheer. It turned out that the old man was still the best. Wu Yu seemed to be desperate. If he couldn't attack the Dark Prince, there was really no way out. Even the two Antarctic ice beasts were now confident that they could go in and take down Wu Yu. In fact, the moment the Dark Prince finished speaking, the Black Phoenix had already rushed up. It made an extremely sharp bird cry. It was not even a bird cry, but the sound of metal friction. The sound was quite harsh. Even Wu Yu felt harsh when he was not attacked. I believe that the Dark Prince would also be stabbed and hurt. At this time, the Black Phoenix seemed to be sacrificing his life for justice. Wu Yu was quite relieved about this puppet. It rushed directly into the flames and sword energy, and was swallowed by the latter too, as if it disappeared in them. Suddenly, all the magic arrays on its body and all its materials were detonated at that moment. Wu Yu could only say that the power of the Wanja Chaoshen killing formation exceeded his imagination. The explosion was so loud and powerful that he was shocked even from a distance. During the explosion, countless flames and sword energy rolled. Wu Yu saw a huge phoenix blooming like fireworks, extremely gorgeous, and then dimly disappeared. After that, the space in the area where the explosion just happened seemed to be broken. A closer look showed that it was the Dark Boundless. Sure enough, the Dark Boundless produced a violent shock at this time. Wu Yu was toppled in the pulling. Suddenly, when the Dark Boundless collapsed, he had already come out of the Dark Boundless. Nangongwei and others had already appeared in front of him. Now his first question is the Dark Prince dead? Wanja Chaoshen killing formation actually killed the Dark Prince. This surprised him a little. After all, he didn't have such an idea at the beginning. When he thought about this, a piece of black meteorite fell into his hand. It was about 10 feet in diameter. It was all the materials and array memory that made up the Black Phoenix. Wu Yu only needed to put it back into the floating life tower, and the Black Phoenix would automatically recover. However, Wu Yu saw something that surprised him very much. It was embedded in the meteorite. It was a small gray gourd, surrounded by the meteorite and unable to get out. This was the gourd of all things. It was probably the Black Phoenix that took the opportunity to lock the gourd of all things when it exploded. He reacted quickly and quickly put the meteorite into the floating life tower. In this way, even if the gourd of all things fell into his hands, the Dark Prince had not yet shown the power of this treasure. At this time, he took a deep breath and looked around. In front of him, all the demons were retreating in panic, including the Antarctic ice beast and the Dead Sea monarch. They were almost fleeing with their own team. The Dark Prince is dead. The Dark Prince is dead. Let's go. Don't get entangled with this evildoer. Even though they were all old, they were all scared and panicked at this time, and Nangongwei was dragged away by her demons. Wu Yu, you performed well, but you are a little too brave to take away my magic gourd of all things unexpectedly. At this moment, a group of black smoke condensed dozens of feet behind Wu Yu, and finally showed the appearance of the Dark Prince. He held the dark stone pillar in his hand. At this time, he looked at Wu Yu miserably and said, "If it weren't for this dark stone pillar, I would really be seriously injured in your hands. However, you should really have no way out now, so next, it's my turn." It turned out that he took the initiative to remove the Dark Boundless to protect himself. Wu Yu saw that this was troublesome. He still couldn't win the 8th level of the realm of asking questions. Heaven Swallowing Record. Author, Fengqing Yang. Chapter 1117. This Dark Prince made Wu Yu clearly realize where the gap between him and the top group of people in the ancient Soul Tower lies. These guys who have been practicing Taoism for nearly 500 years only have more than 100 years left to live, but their experience, realm, etc. are all at the peak of their lives. They have countless years to think about fighting, magical powers, and Taoism, spells and alchemy. Under Wu Yu's attack, the Dark Prince had to remove the Dark Boundless and use the Dark Stone Pillar to resist Wu Yu's attack. When Wu Yu thought he had defeated him, he seemed to have only suffered some minor injuries. Taiwan Novel Network Rightward Arrow. The situation of Smoke Ji. And if he was still in his prime, anyone present could see that Wu Yu could not escape with the somersault cloud because of Nanshan Wanjiao and Le Daizi. Without the Dark Boundless, he could escape directly, but with this group of people, his speed would inevitably be affected. I'd be a fool to fight him again now. When the Dark Prince reappeared, Wu Yu didn't say anything and directly sat on the somersault cloud and fled behind him. He dragged the Turtle Shield Dragon boat away. Of course, the speed of the Turtle Shield Dragon boat was not as fast as his own speed. The 6th level of the Soul Tower happened to be a dark world. If he could keep a little distance, he might still be able to get rid of the Dark Prince of the Demon Heaven clan. However, the other party obviously knew that he was going to escape. The moment Wu Yu made a move, he immediately controlled the Dark Stone Pillar, and its low, unpleasant roar sounded harshly in the 6th level of the Soul Tower. "You took my all things divine gourd and dared to escape. Wu Yu, you can't escape from my palm alive today. It may not be special to die in the hands of others, but if you die in my hands, you will know what a nightmare is that you can't even die. Indeed, ghost cultivators have many means to make their opponents suffer more terrible results than death. That's why ghost cultivators are scary and hated. The Demon Heaven Dynasty, Xuanhuan Kingdom, and Huangquanjijing are all ghost cultivation empires. On weekdays, other cultivation empires rarely have any dealings with them. The Dark Prince is extremely gloomy. At this time, it can be said that it is a matter of life and death. When Wu Yu was about to leave, the shadow of the Dark Prince had already covered the sky and the sun, almost swallowing Wu Yu like the sea. In the turtle shield dragon boat, seeing that Wu Yu miscalculated for the first time, Le Diza was still stable, but the other three were already trembling at this time. If they must die, they would rather die in the hands of anyone than in the hands of the Dark Prince, even if they commit suicide. Fortunately, compared with Wu Yu, they still have some status, and Le Diza is definitely fine, but if he loses Wu Yu, he will completely lose the competition. This is indeed another terrifying moment. It is actually very rare for Wu Yu to miscalculate like this. He mistakenly overestimated his ability. However, it must be said that sometimes his luck is indeed amazing. Originally, in the Dark Boundless, no matter what happened, almost no one could know. But before that, when the Dark Boundless exploded, it was still in the dark night, causing a huge noise. In this dark world, such noise will spread widely. If someone happened to be nearby at this time, it would be quite normal to be attracted. Basically, 9 out of 10 times, this is why the Dark Prince wants to use the Dark Boundless. When Wu Yu escaped less than 10 miles away, there were still pursuers behind him, and even Nangong Wei and the others were still within the pursuit range. Suddenly a melodious, cold, and slightly tough female voice came in front of Wu Yu. "Prince of Darkness, you just set up the Dark Boundless, didn't you? Use it to deal with my Yanhuang clan." As soon as the voice fell, a woman in a white robe appeared in front of Wu Yu. In the darkness, she was embroidered with a red dragon on her white robe, which added to her domineering and majestic aura. Then she looked at her long black hair flying, her eyes were pure gold, and there was a word 11 on her forehead. This word 11 explained her identity, the third imperial daughter, the imperial daughter of 11. She is also one of the 3 emperors and daughters of the Yanhuang clan who have reached the 8th level of the realm of Taoism. Wu Yu also looked at her a few times last time, but he didn't look closely. Only then did he realize that this imperial daughter of 11 was so beautiful. Her appearance was grand and dignified, with the demeanor of a female emperor. Her red lips were as bright as fire, her eyes were shining, and her snow-white skin was delicate and white. It was impossible to tell that she was over 400 years old. To Wu Yu, she didn't feel like an old generation of cultivators, but rather a charming young lady. He had seen many imperial daughters, all kinds of them, all of them were high and mighty, but the one who was most in line with the temperament of the Yanhuang royal family, with elegance, holiness, and majesty, was still the 11th imperial daughter. Therefore, in this temperament, Wu Xing surpassed other imperial daughters, and so did her own strength. It is said that when the 11th imperial daughter was young, she was also a person of peerless elegance. She seemed to prefer to be alone, so she has no Taoist partner or imperial envoy so far. She usually traveled around the world, had a wide range of knowledge, and had a great reputation among the people. In contrast, the son of Emperor Yu was extremely lonely, and the son of Emperor Xiao was careless. On the contrary, the daughter of Emperor 11, although she was a woman, received the most praise in the ancient country of Yanhuang. Of course, the future emperor of Yanhuang cannot be elected by just praise. However, her appearance would definitely help Wu Yu and others resolve the crisis, so Wu Yu hid behind her without saying a word and said, "Daughter 11, you are right." A group of them united and used the dark world is waiting for the Yanhuang tribe to take the bait, and then they will use their strength to bully the weak, and they will humiliate and kill them when they are outnumbered. The Prince of Darkness frowned when Emperor 11's daughter appeared, but he also knew that when he decided to withdraw from darkness unbounded to protect himself, this situation was inevitable. He just didn't expect that the first one who appeared would directly bring him harm. The daughter of Emperor 11 is here to cause trouble. The dignified Emperor 11's daughter glanced at Wu Yu with her phoenix eyes, with surprise in her eyes, and said, "You can come out of that darkness and boundlessness. There are so many of them, and it's a miracle that you can survive. I just heard that you didn't die in the 5th level of the Soul Tower last time." She was quite amiable, which was just right, but she also regarded Emperor Yu as a competitor, so Wu Yu didn't let Emperor Zi show up at this time. He wanted Emperor 11's daughter to entangle the Prince of Darkness, so that he only then did he have room to leave here, so he hurriedly said, "Daughter of the Emperor, don't worry about how I escaped. Before me, nearly 100 Yanhuang tribesmen have encountered their vicious hands, including Emperor Yun's daughter, Emperor He and Emperor Feng. The prince and many other emperors' sons and daughters are still imprisoned in his dark stone pillar." What? Maybe the sons and daughters of the emperor were competitors to each other, but the daughter of Emperor 11 was still someone who had the overall situation in mind. Before the common enemies of the Yanhuang tribe, the outsiders, she naturally chose to help her own people. After all, this also related to the Yanhuang tribe. Face problem. The Emperor 11's daughter became very serious. Women change their faces very quickly. This Princess 11's daughter was also the best. She became very domineering at once. Her golden eyes pierced the dark prince's body and said, "Are you eating? Are you brave enough to dare to say such despicable and shameless things? Do you really not care about your own identity? If you have the guts, just fight openly. Why are you using this method to humiliate my younger brothers and sisters? Release them quickly. Otherwise we, the Yanhuang tribe, will never end up with you, the Dark Prince. Don't think that you can act recklessly in the ancient Soul Tower. If you don't have any friends, how about hanging out with a group of juniors? I can ask my second brother to come here right now, just be happy and let him go. The Prince of Darkness now has a headache. Arranging darkness unbound is indeed a shameless thing, but if no one knows, it doesn't matter. The key is that Wu Yu forced him to remove darkness unbounded, and now Emperor 11's daughter knows about it. Judging from what she meant, Emperor Xiao was also nearby. The key is that Emperor 11's daughter has indeed hit his Achilles heel. He is walking alone in this ancient soul tower, trying to find someone at the 8th level of the Dao realm who is willing to fight side by side with him, but there is no one. After all, he usually behaves quite sinister. So of course he was afraid that Emperor Xiao and Emperor 11's daughter would join forces. According to his estimation, if Emperor Xiao was nearby, Emperor 11's daughter would not only be intimidated, she must have called Emperor Xiao to come over. Although Emperor Xiao and her were competitors, he couldn't just sit idly by when one of his own was bullied like this, otherwise how would the ancient emperor treat him? The Prince of Darkness quickly thought of the difficulty. After thinking about it, he could only choose to give up, so he said in a deep voice, "You can let me go if you want. This time, I am wrong. I have worked for so long in vain. But, Wu Yu, you must also return my divine gourd of all things to me. When you return my divine gourd of all things to me, I will let you go. Otherwise, even if Emperor Xiao comes, your life is in my hands and the truth is with me. What can you do to me?" As for the others, they are now hiding away to watch the show. The divine gourd of all things. That spiritual Taoist artifact? Wu Yu, Emperor 11's daughter, was startled again and looked at Wu Yu with some confusion. Wu Yu, whose acting skills were off the charts, was startled and said, "What, the divine gourd of all things? You just dealt with that gourd of mine? Are you lying with your eyes open? It's too late for me to escape in your hands. What kind of divine gourd can you bring to me on purpose? I can't take it away either." As the saying goes, soldiers never tire of deceit. His performance was quite vivid, but it made the Dark Prince furious. He thought that Wu Yu would refuse, but he didn't expect that Wu Yu would deny it. This made him so angry that he could not swallow his breath, and said angrily, "Beast, you still dare to quibble." He was about to catch Wu Yu. Although Wu Yu was behind Emperor 11's daughter, at this moment, it seemed that this was the best opportunity. He quickly turned around and continued to escape. Still trying to escape, the Dark Prince was anxious about his own divine gourd of all things and hurriedly chased after him. However, Emperor 11 wanted to let him go. How could she let him go? Sure enough, the moment Wu Yu left, Emperor 11 intercepted the Dark Prince and said angrily, "You still dare to talk nonsense? It seems you don't want to let him go, then don't even think about leaving." Heaven Swallowing Record. Author, Fengqing Yang. Chapter 1118. In this dark world, Wu Yu probably only needs the 11 Emperor to block him for a few breaths, and he can completely get rid of the Dark Prince. At this time, the Dark Prince wanted to chase, but there was no way. There were other princes and princesses in his dark stone pillar. Before releasing them, 11 Emperor would not let him chase. When he released everyone and let them recover, Wu Yu was almost gone. At this time, 11 Emperor did not stop him from chasing. When the other Nan Yin Yaozhou, Tian Dileiqi and others saw that the Dark Prince had run away, many of them had humiliated these princes and princesses. Now these princes and princesses were still in a daze. When they woke up a little, they would be in big trouble, especially Nan Yin Yaozhou and Tian Dileiqi. They had lost their key combat effectiveness. Remember the domain name of this site, Taiwan Novel Network rightward arrow. So they also dispersed in a hurry, and went in different directions. The only ones left were Princess 11 and the confused princes and princesses. Princess 11 looked in the direction where the Dark Prince was chasing Wu Yu. Now, she was shocked by all these things. Suddenly, she couldn't help laughing and said, "Look at how anxiously the Dark Prince is chasing. Could it be that Wu Yu really took away his magic gourd of all things? This is fun. This little guy is really brave. He even dared to lie to me. I have to teach him a lesson next time I see him." Indeed, he actually did such a thing, and his powerful speed is still incredible. Could it be that my father really favors the Prince of Yu and no longer looks down on us who are old and ugly? Princess 11 was a little helpless and shook her head. She was too lazy to look at the people she saved. When they were a little more sober, she would leave directly. As for Wu Yu, he had already gone to the sky. He had originally gone to the 7th level of the Soul Tower, but wasted so much time because he mistakenly entered the Dark Boundless. Now he has escaped, and he has also gained a huge reward like the God of all things, so he has not suffered any loss. He did not change his itinerary. The Dark Prince behind him was still chasing him, so he simply continued to go up and prepared to rush directly to the 7th level. Generally, the sky above would be more chaotic, and the Dark Prince would only get farther and farther away from Wu Yu if he lost his direction. The sky-devouring body, seizing the time, was studying the God of all things in the floating life tower. The floating life tower was quite powerful, and it directly cut off the connection between the God of all things and the Dark Prince. No matter where the God of all things was placed, the Dark Prince, who was still its owner, could find it. But in the floating life tower, for the Dark Prince, what frightened him was that he could no longer feel the existence of the God of all things. Fortunately, the daughter of Emperor 11 helped. This time it was really too dangerous. If we were caught by the Dark Prince, with his crazy character, it's hard to imagine what a miserable end we would have. The Emperor Yu and the others were still in shock. But at this time, Wu Yu had already entered the Turtle Shield Dragon ship. He drove the Turtle Shield Dragon ship and began to attack the 7th level. There was a pitch-black invisible storm on it, which existed everywhere. There was no way to dodge it, and he could only resist it. The Emperor Seal under Wu Yu's control was definitely many times stronger than the daughter of Emperor Yin. Soon Wu Yu rushed into the black storm. Despite this, he still felt very tired, especially after a battle just now. The Turtle Shield Dragon ship was toppled in the black storm, bringing violent shocks. Those storms were like countless upper spiritual instruments slashing at the Turtle Shield Dragon ship. The Turtle Dragon played an important role in the Turtle Shield Dragon ship formation, and at this time, more of the Turtle Dragon formation was used. In the darkness, like a black divine tortoise, it was resisting the fierce storm, step by step, silently heading upward. In fact, the attack on the tortoise shield dragon ship was a certain consumption for Wu Yu. He had to endure this torture. If they reached the 7th level, then they would only have not been to the 8th and 9th levels of the entire ancient Soul Tower. The ancient Soul Tower of the ancient emperor was full of mysteries. Wu Yu was also full of curiosity and desire about where the Xuanhuan gold pearl was. At the same time, what he longed for and insisted on was his own way and his determination to move forward courageously. Constant impact, constant persistence, this test was unprecedented. When Wu Yu reached the 7th level of the Soul Tower, he was actually exhausted. Fortunately, he had completely gotten rid of the Dark Prince at this time, and the 7th level of the Soul Tower seemed to be hidden enough, so Wu Yu hid for a while and began to recover. At the same time, it also gave the Black Phoenix time to repair. The 7th level of the Soul Tower and the 6th level below can be said to be completely opposite. The 6th level was an extremely dark world, where you couldn't see your hand in front of you, while the 7th level was filled with white light. This light didn't seem very hot, but it was extremely strong and filled every corner. Even Wu Yu found it difficult to open his eyes to check the surroundings in such a place full of strong light, let alone other people. Under such light, other people might have to close their eyes, so although the 7th level of the Soul Tower was extremely bright, it might be darker than the 7th level for those who came up, because they still couldn't see anything. Even in the 6th level, once there was light, it would be very obvious, but it was different here. Even if there was light, no one could see it. Everything could only be judged by sound, but this would definitely have great limitations. Therefore, Wu Yu concluded that it was still safe here for the time being. They were all in the Turtle Shield Dragon boat and were now recuperating peacefully. Although it consumed a lot of Dao Shendan, it was quite worth it. I just don't know what kind of gods there are in this world full of light. About 5 days later, Wu Yu basically returned to his full strength, and the Black Phoenix was completely repaired. Wu Yu transferred them to the Black Phoenix, which made walking easier. The Steel Phoenix was also quite fast, at least faster than the Turtle Shield Dragon boat. Be quick. In this 7th level, if there are flame gold beads, it seems to be more difficult to see. Now there are only the 8th and 9th levels. I decided to go to the 8th level to have a look after Wu Yu made his decision, he and you Emperor's son and others said. The Emperor was a little confused and asked, it was already very difficult to get up to the 7th level before. There are so many of us on the 8th level, I'm afraid we won't be able to get up there, and as long as there are people on it, they can't be dealt with, even compared to the Prince of Darkness is not competitive at all if we go up there. Wu Yu nodded and said, so, it's not us who go up, but me who goes up. My body goes up by myself, and the clones, Nanshan and Zixi all stay here. Of course, Black Phoenix is also here. They will protect you. You are temporarily just stay still in this 7th level and hide yourself. Don't worry, I'm still here if the clone is there. If there is trouble that can't be solved here, my true body will come down from above. We are all here. Wu Yu will definitely not be willing to go to the 8th or even 9th level of exploration. He had discussed these matters with Nanshan Wanjiao within a few days. His sky-swallowing body was also left here. At the same time, Wu Yu left the floating life tower and the gate to the ancient demon world here, just in case. This time going to the 8th level, or even higher, his flexible body is the first choice. It is impossible to go to the 8th or even 9th level with them, so Wu Yu originally decided to go to a certain level. Place, he needs to go up and see for himself. Even though the flame golden pearl has appeared below, I think the place where it's really possible to get it is probably higher up, Wu Yu added. Emperor Zi thought for a moment, nodded and said, okay, it is true that we have affected your own performance a little bit. Your strongest thing is your flexibility. After all, your magical powers are powerful. And you have this clone and this puppet. Now, our main combat power is still there, we are just hiding in the 7th level of the Soul Tower, there is no danger, in this case, you can go up boldly. In fact, Wu Yu didn't discuss it with him, he just told him. What made them feel most secure was Wu Yu's body, so they were a little worried at this time. But the situation is different now, and Emperor, you can't change Wu Yu's mind. Wu Yu made some more detailed preparations. This was the exploration that he felt was the most important, so he had to make some arrangements to give the sky-swallowing body and Nanshan Wanjai a room to retreat. Then, he didn't really need to say goodbye. He left immediately, after all, his sky-devouring body with white blood eyes was still standing here. This is basically equivalent to Wu Yu still being here. Nanshan Wanjai continues to ponder his own magical powers. Yazixi has more to learn, such as Tianling Taoist tools and magical powers, and the body of swallowing the sky also needs to continue to practice, understand the divine gourd of all things, and strive to use it as soon as possible. Effect. Emperor Yu and the others were bored and began to practice in the 7th level of the Soul Tower. The 7th level of the Soul Tower was very quiet, and it felt like there was no threat for the time being, but Wu Yu didn't dare to be careful. They made very little movement here, and even barely moved at all, so there was no trouble for the time being. But it's not certain in the long run. After all, there are not only all gods here, but also other cultivators, ghost cultivators, demons, and the Prince of Darkness who will definitely catch up. After leaving, Wu Yu's body began to move upward in a low-key manner. Finally, he was alone. He was absolutely free and could be unrestrained. Now even if he met the Dark Prince would not be able to touch him. Although in this way, he still used the magic of heaven and earth to minimize the changes in his body, and sprinted to the high altitude as fast as possible. He was not sure of reaching the 8th level of the Soul Tower, but he knew that he must give it a try. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Heaven Swallowing Record. Author, Fengqing Yang. Chapter 1119. Wu Yu soon tasted the test leading to the 8th level. The higher he went, the stronger the light became. Later, even with his golden eyes, he was like a blind man and could not see anything clearly. The thing that intercepted him, stopped him from going up, and attacked him was a kind of light thorn. It seemed to be composed of white light. Some were big and some were small. The big ones might be as big as a pillar and roared past. The smallest ones might be only the size of a needle and shuttled through without sound. Whether it was a large light column or a small light thorn, they were all composed of extremely concentrated light. They were densely packed in the sky and pierced from one direction to another. The gap between the light thorns was very small. When pierced by the light thorn would instantly disperse. The larger it was, the more it dispersed. It would penetrate all the internal organs and bones of the body. Although it could finally turn into light and dissipate, the lethality it brought to the flesh, the purple palace energy, and even the soul was quite huge. This test is indeed much more difficult to resist than all the previous levels. Here, only those who have reached the 8th level of the realm of asking questions can pass the test here, and even if they bring outsiders with them, it may not be possible. It is indeed difficult for Wu Yu to challenge the 8th level. The light thorns cannot be seen or touched. Although the sound can be heard, the sound of the light thorns shuttles everywhere. It is difficult to tell whether you are about to be stabbed. There is very little time and space to dodge. There may even be a situation where you will be stabbed no matter which direction you dodge. It is important to dare to come up to the 7th level. It is estimated that in less than 5 breaths, you will be stabbed into a hornet's nest and riddled with holes. After all, this place is even harder to see than the 6th level. Wu Yu was not frightened. After all, his Fa Tian Xiang Di could shrink his body and increase his speed, which was a huge advantage. At the same time, he also had the magic of walking. Although he could not see, his fire eyes were a little clearer than others. At least he could see a little bit in front of him. So at the beginning, he could barely shuttle freely in the burst and piercing of the light thorns. Only once he dodged without hurry, and was pierced by the silver needle-sized light thorn in his arm. With his current Vajrabuddha body of the Tathagata, he was almost penetrated. Fortunately, Wu Yu suppressed the burst of the light thorns, but he was still in pain and blood appeared on his arm. In fact, he knew that other people who had reached the 8th level of the realm of Taoism must have relied on the purple mansion elemental force to perform Taoist magic, or used the majestic purple mansion elemental force to control the Tianling Dao weapon and rushed forward. His purple mansion elemental force was far inferior to theirs. He could only use the advantage of his physical body to dodge to reduce the number of attacks. At the beginning, Wu Yu was stabbed less often, and he still had some confidence. Although it was painful and thrilling, he felt that the problem was not big. Unexpectedly, the higher he went, the faster the light thorns were, the stronger the power was, and the greater the density was. He didn't know how much distance was above. When he continued to go up, he could say that the number of times he was stabbed had become quite a lot. Many times Wu Yu was stabbed several times in a row, and there were more and more blood holes on his body. This is not a solution, he had a headache. Otherwise, give up. I don't think you can go up. Don't force yourself. It's not good for you. I think you should just use the somersault cloud to escape. Ming Long liked to say discouraging words the most, and now he didn't show much mercy. No, Wu Yu's voice was flat. He endured it for a while, focused on dodging, and used his fastest speed to shuttle through the light thorns, almost jumping up and down, and changing countless times in a breath of time. Ordinary people couldn't see his traces clearly. He really had an outstanding will. If there was no way to accomplish something, he would find a way. The light thorns all over the sky are indeed terrible, but at least he is not in a desperate situation of death yet. As long as he is not dead, he will probably continue to rush up. Of course, because of such stubbornness, he will suffer losses. He is indeed continuing to go up, but his speed is getting slower and slower. The key is that he has been attacked more and more times. In this dense place, he doesn't know how far he is from the 8th level. However, except for his eyes, almost all parts of his body have been pierced by the thorns. Now the speed of his body recovery is not as fast as the speed of being torn apart by the thorns. The key is that now his whole body is full of burning pain, which is undoubtedly a terrible stimulation. You still don't give up? Are you really looking for death? I see that your melon is almost ripe, you can't let it rot now. Ming Long is still thinking about her rebirth. Wu Yu did not answer her, and he did not have time to answer. Now in his world, there were only spikes and dodging. He forgot everything and focused all his attention on fighting against the spikes. Successful dodging was success, and being stabbed was failure. He was in a constant state of success and failure. You are like a puppet when you are stubborn, and you are not afraid of death at all. Come on, let me remind you, think about whether the 3rd level of somersault cloud that you have not been able to break through can help you, Ming Long suddenly said. Her words were like a loud bang to Wu Yu, who was now concentrating on fighting the increasingly dense light thorns. In fact, there were indeed many things that he couldn't figure out about the 3rd level, but in fact, he had reached a very critical level. He felt that he was actually just a layer of window paper away. He was already very close, but he just didn't understand it at all, which led to his inability to reach a new level. In this situation, with light thorns all over the sky and dodging in a panic, coupled with Ming Long's words, Wu Yu once again thought of the somersault cloud. Yes, so that's how it is. This feeling of sudden enlightenment and the dissipation of the haze made Wu Yu's eyes full of tears. When all the confusion was suddenly solved, it felt like a sunny day suddenly came after dozens of days of heavy rain. It was really refreshing. It felt like the soul was about to ascend to heaven, and the whole person seemed to become lighter. Transformation, it can be like this. The third level of the somersault cloud is called transformation. Before, Wu Yu only knew that it was an extension of the second level of the somersault cloud. He felt the mysterious feeling from those obscure sentences, but he lacked the most fundamental understanding of this mystery, and didn't know how to extend it. Now, thinking about the previous things, under the dense piercing of the light thorns, he knew in which direction this shape-shifting should develop. When he thought through this, all the previous doubts were actually dissipating rapidly. His understanding of the third level of the somersault cloud instantly became extremely clear. It's like a sunny day. The sun is shining. The comprehension has been reached, so the third level will not be too far away. Now Wu Yu just needs to display it. If the second level is a one-time crossing of space, then this shifting is countless times, and it is within a very short period of time, one after another, and the change is controlled within a very small range. When Wu Yu's body is constantly shuttling through the void in the surrounding space, and then returning to the world of Yama, constantly going back and forth, constantly shifting short distances, and even shifting only 1 foot away, because the speed is too fast, so in a short period of time, he seems to have a large number of clones. Of course, more of the remaining is his original shadow, so everyone knows that this is not a clone, but countless ghosts. The more times he jumps, the more ghosts there are. There are countless of his figures in a small range, which looks like shifting. When I was practicing martial arts before, I also used the steps of shifting, but compared with the current advanced Tao and supernatural powers, one is in the sky and the other is on the ground. Now Wu Yu looks like he is shaking, constantly appearing in multiple locations. It is difficult to know where his real body is now, so it is also difficult to really attack him. Of course, he now integrates the somersault cloud into every corner of his body, as if every Buddha statue controls the somersault cloud and integrates it into one. He relies on this somersault cloud to shuttle between the void and reality, completing countless void jumps. In fact, the first, second and third levels of the somersault cloud are all on the same path, constantly improving. The first level is to control and escape, but in fact there is also a short void shuttle. The second level is a rapid and large-scale crossing, and the third level is a continuous short-distance shuttle, which is getting more and more advanced. There are many levels of somersault cloud in the future, which is enough to look forward to. Even if it is only now, it is also a great benefit to Wu Yu. Under this shape-shifting, the light thorn is indeed difficult to hit him. He has a lot of time to choose where he appears. Although he is still going up step by step, the number of times he is hit by the light thorn has dropped directly to less than 1/30th of the original. Now, Wu Yu has great confidence to reach the 8th level of the Soul Tower. Maybe he has a different way to reach the 8th level than other people who have asked the question. He didn't rely on hard support, but it doesn't matter. Being able to reach the 8th level is the kingly way. Moreover, this light thorn has a great effect on his training of the third level of the somersault cloud. Under the continuous impact of this light thorn, although he continues to go up, the light thorn continues to be dense, faster, and more powerful, but Wu Yu's number of hits has not increased with his self-improvement, but has been reduced. Until he continued to play and became addicted, he found that the light thorns were reduced instantly at a certain moment. "You stinky boy, I helped you, don't you know how to thank me?" Ming Long laughed. "Can you promise me your body?" "Bullshit, you little softy who doesn't even dare to go to that little phoenix. I don't like you, but if I force you to play with it, it would be a bit interesting. I don't like you to be too proactive." Wu Yu found that he still couldn't tease her. However, under the huge change of the light, he obviously reached the 8th level. As soon as he got here, he was stunned. "I am a little tired after writing this. There are still 3 chapters today. I will continue tomorrow. Heaven Swallowing Record. Author, Fengqing Yang. Chapter 1120. The next period of time, Wu Yu's body spent time in the quiet 8th floor of the Soul Tower. His heaven-devouring body, along with Le Daizi and others, stayed in the 7th floor of the Soul Tower, and they were all fine. After all, they were hiding and not moving around. But because of this, they would occasionally encounter the 7th floor god of all things, which was a thing made of white light and was difficult to deal with. It was invisible and traceless. Basically, the heaven-devouring body and the Black Phoenix had to fight hard to solve it. However, the heaven-devouring body had almost completely controlled the god of all things in the floating life tower. Although the god of all things has 800,000 arrays, there is only one main attack method, and this method has been played to the highest level. This array is called the change array of all things. This array can create countless things in the god of all things, including swords, spears, swords and halberds, any form of attack and defense, and even create a galloping of beasts, and can also create warships. Anyway, it is full of infinite changes. Wu Yu's main focus is still on the 8th floor of the Soul Tower. He has been concentrating on studying all the details of the 8th level of the Soul Tower these days. To be honest, he thinks he may have gained something, but he may not have gained anything. Many places here often make people feel very mysterious, as if there are countless secrets behind them, but the key is that it will be difficult to understand them in the future. Moreover, the mystery of this place has nothing to do with the mystery of another place. Anyway, he also knows that everyone is actually confused. Their realm in the magic circle is higher than Wu Yu, but they have not gained anything. Wu Yu thinks that he may not need to spend energy on this aspect. It is better to look more and think more to see if there are some special ideas. After all, he thinks that the ancient Emperor Yanhuang may be deliberately making a mystery. However, during this period of time, the Yanhuang Golden Pearl may not appear in the 6th and 7th levels of the Soul Tower, so those other 8th level practitioners who have not gained anything came to the 8th level of the Soul Tower. First came Xuanhuan from the Snow God realm. She was indeed a stunning beauty. Time had hardly left any traces on her. She still looked as cold as ice as the legend said. She spoke very little and basically didn't talk much. Then, it was Huang Guzi from the 9th realm of the Yellow Springs, a ghost cultivator. He was wearing a withered yellow robe, his complexion was somewhat faded, his eyes were sharp, and he was surrounded by yellow air. Next, the demons also came up. The first one to come up was the young emperor of the heavenly demon empire. His body was a sky-breaking cloud beast. He would also be the king of the heavenly demon empire in the future. However, his father had been in office for too long and he would not be the king for many years. Wu Yu took a closer look at the spiritual realm ape of the Million Demon Mountain. This person's human form actually maintained the appearance of a teenager. He looked pure and bright, like the morning sunday. His eyes were very deep, like the ocean, with many contents. There is also the sea demon Yin Yang fish who came to burn the sea. He also has few friends. This person has a very strange human form. The left and right halves are completely different. The left side is dark red, and the flames are burning in the pores. The other side is dark blue, and it looks like a woman, so it is not known whether this demon Yin Yang fish is a man or a woman. Wu Yu felt that the number of people was increasing. I guess the Dark Prince will come up too, because he can't find me down there. However, he can't do anything when he comes here, after all, there are so many gods on the ground. Because of the existence of these small golden beads, everyone who comes up will be warned at the first time. Later, the daughter of Emperor 11 and the son of Emperor Xiao came up together. They didn't expect Wu Yu to appear here at all, and they were also very surprised, especially the son of Emperor Xiao. He was attacked by Wu Yu once. If it weren't for the special situation of the 8th level of the Soul Tower, he would definitely try Wu Yu again. What ability does he have now? You are smart. You hid here and even dared to take away his gourd of all things. You are quite courageous. The daughter of the Emperor 11 glared at Wu Yu. Wu Yu smiled and said nothing more. It soon spread that everyone knew that Wu Yu had a conflict with the Dark Prince and took away his gourd of all things. This made everyone think more highly of Wu Yu. Invisibly, they regarded him as an equal competitor. The Dark Prince was probably looking for Wu Yu down there, but he didn't get any results. He finally came here. Wu Yu was studying next to the Soul Stone at that time. Suddenly, there was a slight vibration, and the Dark Prince appeared here with a gloomy face. After he came up, almost all the 8th level of the realm of Taoism had come. There were 7 cultivators in the Yanhuang ancient domain, plus the Yanhuang ancient country, and 8 with Wu Yu. There were 3 ghost cultivators. There were 4 demons, including 1 sea demon. After the Dark Prince came up, everyone immediately reminded him not to make any noise, otherwise it would be very troublesome. The Dark Prince nodded, and he also saw the gods of all things. When he came here, he was actually planning to put Wu Yu's matter aside and snatch the Yanhuang gold pearl first, but he never expected that when he was observing the surroundings, he suddenly looked up and saw Wu Yu's presence. At this time, Wu Yu stood not far in front of him. When the two looked at each other, Wu Yu said, "Prince, long time no see. I know you hate me, but the situation here is special. Don't get excited. Leave the 8th floor of the Soul Tower, you have plenty of opportunities to snatch it." He also wanted to avoid this guy from going crazy and destroying the peace here, so he emphasized it to him. Others knew what happened between the two and were also advising him. They were all trying to get to the 9th level, and no one wanted to wake up the sleeping golden beads. It would be bad for no one if this place fell into chaos and fighting. This chapter is not over yet, please click on the next page to continue reading. Now everyone is looking at the Dark Prince. After he saw Wu Yu, his mood was obviously not so stable. "If you have a dispute, go down and solve it," Emperor Yu proposed. He was eager for Wu Yu to leave, because he was afraid of Wu Yu from the bottom of his heart. The Dark Prince gritted his teeth, stared at Wu Yu with a ferocious look, and said, "Come on, follow me down." Wu Yu smiled and said, "I'm not a fool. After I go down, I will be at the mercy of others. The Dark Prince should study the 8th level of the Soul Tower as soon as possible, otherwise everyone will gain something, but you won't. When the time comes to snatch the flame gold pearl, you will have no advantage. Now everyone knows that whether you can get the flame gold pearl may be related to the 8th level of the Soul Tower. Follow me down." The Dark Prince was probably angry at this time, and he actually said it in words, causing some noise. Suddenly, the gods of all things showed signs of waking up, and some were already confused. When he made such a noise, everyone was shocked and quickly scolded the Dark Prince. "Can you control yourself? No one else is talking, but you are the only one who is talking? You are already so old, isn't it just that you lost the heavenly spirit Deo weapon? Why are you so impatient? Shut up, Dark Prince. Don't lose your reputation." Anyway, everyone is not happy with the ghost cultivation, even those from Xuanhuan country or Huangquanjijing have conflicts with the Dark Prince. They will not help him speak at this time. "You actually scolded me? It's not you who had the treasure stolen by such a young boy. What qualifications do you have to say sarcastic things here?" The Dark Prince still spoke with his mouth. He was really a thorn. His hot temper was beyond Wu Yu's expectation. Wu Yu felt that he underestimated his anger for losing the all things gourd. "Shut up." Others saw that the golden beads had signs of waking up, and some had even opened their eyes, and they were immediately very anxious. "Can you stop acting like a brat? You're already hundreds of years old, there's no need to arouse public anger." What good will this do for you? How could the demonic Heaven clan produce such a thing as you? They were probably a little angry, and they repeatedly advised the Dark Prince, but they didn't expect that he would still not listen. Now, almost everyone is targeting the Dark Prince, and it's also a skill for him to stand on the opposite side of everyone. However, I'm afraid he has been angry these days, or some people deliberately want to provoke him. After all, the 8th level of the Soul Tower has been very quiet, but everyone has not gained anything. If some people want to fall into chaos, there may be a breakthrough, but when everyone asks for silence, he will not make a noise and become the target of public criticism, and at this time, the Dark Prince, this thorn, appears and takes the blame. Of course, the Dark Prince also disliked this group of competitors. At this time, no one knew who scolded him, which made him even more angry, and his eyes became sharp instantly. He shouted angrily, "Who said this? Stand up! What are these gods of all things? We are a group of people here, so why should we be afraid of these gods of all things? Kill them first, and then come out to fight," he roared with his mouth, and not only the sound, but also an extremely strong vibration. This strong vibration made the 8th level of the Soul Tower explode directly. Such a big movement awakened all the tens of thousands of gods of all things. At this time, all opened their eyes, and the golden eyes quickly turned blood red. Obviously, these little things were very irritable and angry about being awakened. For a while, the 8th level of the Soul Tower rang with a piercing scream. When everyone saw this situation, they hurriedly hid in the corner. Obviously, at the outermost position, there would be attacks on all sides and above, and if they hid in the corner of the wall, at least they would not have to face the attack behind them. The chaos created by the Dark Prince and Wu Yu suddenly exploded. The golden beads had mouths and noses, like little heads. They flew up with scarlet eyes and screamed continuously. The entire 8th level of the Soul Tower was shrouded in such sharp sounds, and Wu Yu felt quite uncomfortable. Someone secretly hopes to fall into chaos. Maybe he knows that chaos is a chance. I have to be careful. Wu Yu was not worried about the Dark Prince, because at this time the Dark Prince had been swallowed up by the most gods of all things. Wu Yu quickly changed the law of heaven and earth to the smallest, making it difficult for those gods of all things to notice him. At this time, the 8th level of the Soul Tower had fallen into an unprecedented melee. Perfect Anti-Theft Chapter. Please use the search engine to search for keywords. Various novels are available for you to watch.